SG Reads.
Hello fellow travelers, my name's SG and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be looking at the Billy and Mandy Halloween specials, Billy and Mandy Jacked Up Halloween. Now this is definitely one of the best Halloween specials Cartoon Network's done, right next to the Ed and Eddie one and various other ones I will get to maybe next year at this point. But this was the one that I would have to say defined the Billy and Mandy series as a whole, really showing the characters' personalities, really showing where the show would later go in the direction of, and really does depict what the main series was about overall. So, let's get started, shall we? But before that, please leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate it, help me out. Let me know what other videos or content you would like me to talk about later on, and let's get started. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy was a cartoon series on Cartoon Network that lasted from 2003 for about 6 seasons before its ultimate cancellation. Now, the first season is separated and shorter compared to the rest of the series, mainly due to the fact that it was supposed to be a shared block between not only The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, but also Evil Con Carne, a series also created by the same creator, Maxwell Adams, and several of the similar storyboard artists along the way. But ultimately, Evil Con Carne was dropped as a series altogether, and it was pretty much just giving room to Billy and Mandy to become more of a serialized thing. Not only was it more popular, but it was easier to understand and to kind of think of stories along the way. At the season 1 as well, one of the longest episodes they did, at the time at least, was Billy and Mandy's Jacked Up Halloween, which acted as both the series' Halloween special and kind of the solidifying feature of pretty much defining what the block was going to be about, which was just the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Now, when we talk about the Jacked Up Halloween, that came out October 31st, 2003, and was pretty much episode 15 of season 1. It was the longest running episode up to that point, going pretty much the entire full 22 minutes. So, with that being said, let's talk about the story, shall we? The story goes, on one Halloween night, Billy, Mandy, and Grim go out trick-or-treating, with Billy dressed as Grim due to the lack of costume, mainly because he forgot it was Halloween altogether, and the costume he chose was that of Grim, wearing his cloak and taking his scythe along with him to go trick-or-treating. Now, when that happened, they ask why was there a purpose to the idea of giving pranks during Halloween. Grim says he thinks that's his fault actually, because when Endsville was still in its colonial phase, there was a prankster named Jack that got on the bad side of everyone in Endsville, and ultimately it cost him his life. When Grim went to go collect his soul, Jack tricked him by pretty much tickling him to ignore him and stole the scythe of Grim, the Grim Reaper. But when he did that, he offered to give Grim his scythe back, but in turn he wanted immortality, and Grim, giving it to him, decided to take his head along the way, making him a headless person with immortality. Jack later on took on a pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern in place of his head and continued to pull pranks, but only once a night, that being Halloween night, mainly because he couldn't go out any other time if he wanted to. And after hearing that, he is pointed to the house that it was pretty much given, and Billy goes there to go find candy. And there he meets Jack, or Jack-o'-lantern, who is about to set out to prank Endsville to no end. And when he does that, he learns that Billy has the scythe of the Grim Reaper. And with that, Jack realizes that he can get his revenge on Grim for doing this to him by taking his head using the scythe of the Grim Reaper, due to the fact that if someone's head is taken by the Grim Reaper's scythe, it can never be reattached again. I think that's something he learned the hard way as well. So, that is the overall story, leading down a whole fight process between Mandy, Grim, and Billy against an entire Legion of Pumpkin army and Jack-o'-lantern himself. It's a very interesting story, very entertaining, and very fast-paced. It is about 22 minutes, as I said before, and very much worth the watch. If you want to check it out, it's on HBO Max, or you might be able to find it on Hulu. Alright, let's move on to the characters. Now, our main characters in this are obviously Mandy, Billy, and Grim, but there's not much to say about their characters or much of what they want in this scenario. Mandy just wants to go out and collect candy as best she can, pulling as many pranks as she can if she has to. Billy just wants to go out and have fun, and Grim just wants candy himself. Their storylines are pretty much solidified with the main antagonist, who is the main part of this whole series, and that being Jack-o'-lantern. Jack in this series is voiced by Wayne Knight, who some may know as Newman from Seinfeld, or more likely, the Chicken Man from Toy Story 2. His voice is so iconic in this role and really gives it a character of its own, giving it more life than it actually needs to for a special like this, and gives it its own flair, vibe, and really big emotion overall. He just wants to get revenge on Grimm and wants to go back to living the life of a normal person, even though he's the one that put himself in this situation overall. So the emotions are there, and the characters are definitely there, and give more to the story as it goes along. And you can really understand where they're coming from and the emotions they give. As I said before, this really did define the setting of Ennsville, giving a darker, supernatural tone than we've seen in the previous episodes, which relied it more on being a grounded world. But with this, we get dark shades of green, the ground cracks, creatures popping up out of nowhere, with the humor that matches later seasons of Billy and Mandy. When I say this pretty much defined the series as a whole, it defined the series as a whole, because after this we do see a similar tone going along the way, turning an event into a whole series. Not much to complain about, because I think that was actually the right call making overall. Now I know what you're thinking. Why is this episode so much more important to me in the series as a whole? There's been events like this that happens in the future. There's been things like the Brain episode, or even the Zombie episode, that pretty much act as Halloween episodes themselves. But this to me feels more personal. This feels like an actual character developed story. This feels like it's actually something that's put together with thought process and made in mind. Not to develop more or to understand the characters, I would have to say, is the main part of this episode. You really understand what they're all about. You get the characters' vibes, what they've done. And really with Grimm, you see him actually acting like a Grim Reaper in this one, with the way he first met Jack, how old he is, and with the abilities that Billy, Mandy, and even Irwin seem to bring to the table. This really does have each one having their own flair and character brought forth into the episode and really show off their talents, or lack thereof. It really does give more to, I guess you could say, Jack in this episode. Like I said before, this is mainly driven by him. This does feel like it's his special, and it makes you want him to come back, which makes it sad that this was just a one-off character for the special itself, and I would have liked to see more along the way, see what they could have done with him. See, this is where it's unique in a way. This is the one time a character does not return for an episode later on, except in brief mentioning in the Big Boogie Adventure. The storyline is good. The acting is good. The character's development is pretty okay, even though there is so little of it. But the main thing overall is the antagonist is memorable. That would have to be the main takeaway of the series, leading into a whole series of other events happening later on, bringing back characters like Nurgle, somewhat inheriting the same personality traits, along with the Boogeyman becoming sort of a Jack pseudo character. And along the way we do know a lot of later features that would be included in the main series overall, such as color tone, personalities, and even motivations overall seem to be very prominent in this special. So, if I had to point out as one of the defining Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy episodes, while at the same time being a Cartoon Network Halloween episode, it would have to be Billy and Mandy's Jacked Up Halloween. For various reasons, other than it's just a fun time that I think a lot of people could really get into, and the moment it comes out, you definitely feel that Halloween is just around the corner. Mainly due to the fact that this came out on Halloween, is about Halloween, and at the same time, is around Halloween. Thanks again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe down below if you enjoyed my review of it, or if you even just enjoyed the episode itself. I might go back and watch it again myself after this video is done. And thanks again for watching, and see you guys next time. See you there, and have a great one.